No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week. Hope everything's going all right in your gardens. And as you can see right here, right now, we've been experiencing some rain and wind. And this last night, I guess this tree, dead piece of a tree we have up behind us came off during the wind, blew into our back patio garden space here. And I thought, let's go out, let's get some of our tomatoes that we're still harvesting off of our plants here. Up over here, we've still got more peppers and everything, as we're not seeing any significant frost yet. But yeah, looks like I got to do some cleanup before we're going to be able to get to those. And it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any frost even in our forecast coming up the next 10 days too. So this has just been a really, really warm fall for us. But yeah, I'm going to have to get to this and then I can get to those. All right, everybody. Let's get growing. All right. Welcome all my garden enthusiasts and passionate plant people. Thank you so much for joining with us here for the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today, and we've got a great show ahead for you today. We've got joining with us here in just a little bit. We've got our good friend Jennifer Neubauer from Hook and Garden here for today's feature interview. And we really look forward to talking with her in just a little bit here. But if you are with us right now, definitely be sure to click that like button, hit the thumbs up. Also, click on the subscribe as well as the bell notification to be notified all of our upcoming videos and live streams. And definitely share with all your friends. Let them know about the Let's Get Growing show and all the great guests and fun gardening conversations that we have here on the Urban Gardener channel and the Let's Get Growing show. So I really appreciate all of the sharing that you do. Help us keep on growing right here. And definitely a huge, big shout out to all of you who are watching us on the replay. It's great to have you here for all of the live streams live, but if you don't have the time to join with us here on the weekends, definitely great to be able to have you join with us on the replay. So if you here are watching our replay, definitely get down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if you got any possible guests you might like to see on the show. I'm always up for some great suggestions from the audience, as well as anything else. You might have any questions or anything like that. Or if you just want to say hi, definitely just say hi. Get down in the comment section below. Really, really appreciate all that you do to contribute. And as well as those who are with us here live today, definitely jump into our chat there and join in on the conversation, as well as ask any questions, leave some comments. If you do have any questions, though, definitely put those in all caps if you can, so that I can tell the difference between the questions and the conversation that's going on in the chat there too. And if you have any questions for our guests, definitely drop those in during our conversation coming up here in just a little bit, and we might just feature it here on the show. Also, definitely check out all of the links down in the description for everything for the Let's Get Growing show, the Urban Gardener channel, as well as links for our guests. And definitely go and check out our guests there too through those links, and maybe hit one of their most recent posts or videos or something, and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. So right on. Great to see all of you here today. And yeah, it's been quite a week here for the show. I would really appreciate everybody who joined with us on Thursday on Halloween for what was our special Halloween hangout live stream, where we all got to hang out and watch the original 1960 classic the Little Shop of Horrors. It was so much fun to get together with everybody and hang out with all of you. We had a really great hangout this year, and we had some discussion as well before and in between the two different shows that we showed. And we were fortunate enough to have our friend Jay join with us, our facilitator, and also another guest as well too, join right with us live here on the show. We let out all of the live stream links for everybody to possibly come and join in on the discussion. We had some fun conversations there in between our original 1960 Little Shop of Horrors, and then after that we all hung out and watched a theatrical version, a really great theatrical version of the Little Shop of Horrors. It was really fun. This was basically, I believe, our 5th annual Little Shop of Horrors Halloween hangout here on the show. And again, it was really fun. We'll do it again next year, so everybody keep an eye out for that as well too. And make it, like I said, I was saying during the show, I remember when I was younger, you'd have all those great holiday classics that would air on television, and as a family, we would get together and watch them. Like shows like. Of course, all of the, Peanuts ones that were there, or even the Wizard of Oz. I remember being a big one that would hit in the fall, and we would all get together and watch that as well too. So this is kind of a fun way to just kind of have a fun hangout each year as we're ending our gardening seasons, and have a little bit of fun watching those movies. So it was really great to see all of you here join with us for that as well. We did get to meet this last week too. On our last show last Saturday, we got to hang out with our good friend Mike Van Doozy from Keep On Growing Home and Garden. And Mike also had some seeds and some of his cool little hydroponic adapters and some mushroom kits that we gave away during that show. It was really fun. It was really great. We'll have to have him back on again some other time and do some more giveaways or something. But it's always great to hang out with Mike and talk all about what he's got growing on, and just some great inspiring gardening conversations there. We also got to meet for our Are You Following Me segment Mariana Lira from Mary's Garden and Kitchen. Mary's Garden and Kitchen is a channel that I found earlier this year, and I was just really fascinated with what she was doing there in New York City. She's gardening right there in the city. She had, I believe, like some alleyway garden space that she had, plus a little front yard space, and she did really great job growing all of that sort of stuff in a city environment. And I've been following along with her, so it was really great to finally have her on the show and be able to talk about all of that gardening experience that she has there in the New York City, as well as she's just recently moving out of the city though too into a new gardening space. We talked a little bit about that and what the transition will be for her to move into a new garden space as well too. So great conversation there last Saturday on the show. You'll want to check that out, as well as our Sunday edition. Remember, we're here both Saturdays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Last Sunday for our Sunday edition on the show, it was my birthday, so I invited to hang out again. We've had them here now basically every couple of months. We got them on the show, but our good friends Kingstar from the Kingstar channel on YouTube, and Christopher Bransdahl from the Christopher Bransdahl channel on YouTube as well. King grows out of Texas. Christopher grows out of Norway. And so, again, it's really fun to kind of have conversations with these guys. They've been hanging out with me and doing live streams since my first guest live streams that I did several years ago on the channel. As well as, in fact, he was the one who introduced me. Kang was the one who introduced me to this platform that we use now for our show. And so I guess it all kind of started back then with those early conversations we had with them. I'd invite them back every year for a first day of spring conversation that we had for a few years there. And then for the show, I thought it would be a great idea to kind of catch up with them throughout the gardening season. So we'll have them back here again here shortly in a few weeks, and catch up with them again as we're moving on into our 2025 gardening season. Can you believe here it is mid-fall already? Garden season for 2024 is winding down, and Yeah, just things are just moving right along when it comes down to it. Again, I mentioned here this last week, and I'll mention again this week too, is last year we did kind of a really extended break from our first year of the show to moving into this year of the show. We're going to kind of shorten that up this year. We're only going to take a couple of weeks off during the holidays there in late December, and then we'll be right back at it again in the new year's for some more great fun gardening conversations here on the Let's Get Growing show, with lots of more new guests in 2025 and all of that as well too. So look forward to all of that coming up here for sure. All right. Also, I do have to let you know, I've been really stressed out about this. I'm telling you, it's just been something else. I've got tomorrow on the show for our Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show. We've been looking forward to a conversation with Self-Sufficient Me's Mark Valencia and Garden Like a Viking's Nate Meary, two of our just great guests, huge supporters, and really awesome guys here on our show. And I thought it would be great to bring them together for a fun gardening conversation. I had kind of another obligation that I've got going on tomorrow too as well. Plus, one of the things I didn't account for was that we were about to hit our daylight savings time here in the US, and we're about to fall back another hour. And we had already moved the time up for this show tomorrow. The show tomorrow is going to be at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for Mark, that puts him all the way back another hour. And those of you who are in Australia know and understand, you get up real early to watch the Let's Get Growing show. And for him, that'll be an even another hour earlier, plus what I had going on as well too. So I was worried about whether or not we were going to have to postpone the show or do something like that. Again, I'm not too sure. Maybe it'll work better for Mark for a later date. I'm not too sure yet. So we're going to continue on with our plans for tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time for that show, unless Mark feels it's better, or we work out something else for a better date where we can have, just so we don't have to worry about him getting up too early, me having to squeeze out of here so fast, and all of that too would make maybe for a great conversation as well. But we'll go ahead and go with what we're going to go with right now. And hopefully I'll hear back from him in a little bit later. So if anything does change, I will post something on our community page and let everybody know. But for right now, everything, we'll just keep it going as we planned. So, all right, everybody, we've got a great show ahead for you here today. And we'll go ahead and just get going. Again, we don't have an Are You Following Me segment, so we're going to be talking and having our featured guest, Jennifer, here in just a little bit on the show. But I'll be right back here in just one moment. We'll check out and hang out with all of you for a few minutes until Jennifer gets here, and then we'll get moving on with our feature presentation today. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop, here with another trivia question. Which of the following garden veggies is known for tasting better after a frost? A. Potatoes, B. Pumpkins, C. Carrots, or D. Radishes? We'll be back with the answer a little later in the show.
All right, all right, all right. Do you know the answer to Sarah's trivia question this week? Definitely jump there into our chat and let us know what your guess is there. And here in just a few minutes, we'll get the answer in our next break. Again, if you can, hit up Sarah for some really great seeds at her shop, sarahseedshop.com. And also, one of the things I wanted to mention to everybody is a couple weeks back, I was sharing with everybody that I had some of our Prax cherry tomato seeds that I was offering to everybody for some free seeds, and you can grow some of these. And one of my favorite cherry tomatoes that I grow each and every year in my garden, and I usually give these away. They're perfect tomatoes, like cherry tomatoes. They grow really well in containers. They don't get big and unruly like a lot of our tomato plants do, and all of that. And they have some really delicious large-sized cherry tomatoes, so they're perfect for small space urban gardening. So again, I grow these each and every year, so I do want to offer those to everybody. We still have some more available, so if you want to send me an email at letsgetgrowing@mail.com, not gmail.com. I've got to change that, I think, too, to a Gmail. Everybody thinks that it's possibly a Gmail, so I hope nobody's sending for seeds to letsgetgrowing@gmail.com, but it's letsgetgrowing@mail.com, and just put in the subject free tomato seeds, and I will reply back to you with some instructions on how you can get a hold of some of these just wonderful, delicious cherry tomato seeds that you can grow in your garden. And yeah, look forward to seeing all of you jump into that mailbox there and get some of these great seeds. Like I said, you won't be disappointed. You're going to really, really love these seeds. So right on, right on. Let's see here. Let's check in with everybody who we've got joining with us today. And of course, right at the top here, we do want to make sure we're saying hi to Jay Dixon joining us from Midwestern Ontario, Canada. Jay's our facilitator for our conversation. We are so fortunate to have such an awesome facilitator helping us with further information, links, all that sort of stuff. If you've got a YouTube channel, a gardening channel of your own, mention it in the chat there. Jay will make sure to drop in a link to your channel and all of that sort of stuff so that we're sharing the love around the gardening community here on our show. So again, thank you so much, Jay, for joining with us. Thank you again, too, for joining and facilitating our Halloween live stream. And like I mentioned here just a little bit ago, joining with us live. So if you haven't met Jay there, she did join with us live for the Halloween hangout, as well as too Jay did join with us several weeks back. If you want to go back and check out our live page here on the Urban Gardener channel, or I'm sure Jay might even drop in a link if you want to meet Jay and see a great conversation that we had with Jay a few weeks back here on the show too. You can check out that show as well too. So great. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining with us here. And again, joining with us, as I like to always say, from the future over in Australia, we've got Rick Thielen joining with us here. Good morning, Rick. Great to see you. And like I was just mentioning too, I mean, you guys wake up nice and early in order to come and join with us here on the show. So really great to see you here. And as well, we've got our other moderator, Adam Burley, joining with us here from right down the road. One of my local friends here, Adam, joining with us. Thank you so much for being here today. It's great to see you. And let's see here. I know we got Jersey Girl joining with us on the show as well too. Great to see you there, Jersey. Awesome to have you here. And yeah, got lots of things. And I see Mill Creek's back again. Awesome. So great. Glad to have you back here on the show. Thank you for being a part of our conversation today. And yeah, okay, yeah. And Jay put up here too is, yeah, remember tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern for a special Sunday edition roundtable. Yeah, I really look forward to it. Hopefully everything works out. Again, like I said, I've just been so stressed about, making that workout plus what I've got as well to work out. But I think ultimately we'll just, we'll hammer it out tomorrow and have a great gardening conversation anyways, and just make it all happen. So that's going to be really fun. So I hope you all come and join with us here. Let's see, we got English Ladies Kitchen Garden. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for everybody joining with me here today. It's so great to have all of you here. Let's see here. She says, we've been doing makeover in our garden this past week. Yeah, makeover time. This is the time of year, right? Where everything's winding down. We're cleaning up. Might as well do some things if we're going to move some things around or do anything like that. And so, yeah, as you saw at the very beginning of the show, I've got this big tree limb that blew in. We had a little bit of wind and rain, and lots of rain actually that has hit us up here in the last few days. Plus, this huge branch came off the tree, flew across the carport roof there and right into my back patio garden space. So I still got to get out there, cut that down, and get that out of there, as well as doing a little bit of back space makeover myself too, as well. Plus getting everything harvested too. I'm sure that again, we have been having the strangest, warmest fall here in Southern Oregon than I've ever seen. In fact, it's actually finally started cooling down enough in the evenings where our trees are actually starting to change color, and a lot of the trees are actually finally starting to drop all of their leaves, which is something, again, I look forward to each and every year too, is to gather up all of those leaves, mulch them up really good, and then we cover up all of our garden beds with those, the ones that we're not using, like in the alleyway and other spaces and all of that. We just cover them up in all of these just great leaves that we get. But it's been a lot later this year. I'd usually have most all of that done already by now, but they're just now starting to fall. But also, it still isn't cold enough yet. It's to get any sort of significant frost that's going to damage or start killing off some of our other plants, like our tomatoes and peppers, as you saw in that beginning clip that I just shot earlier today. And they're still ripening up. We're still getting new peppers forming and tomatoes forming and all of that on our plants. And as I've been able to see in our forecast, it still doesn't look like there's going to be any significant enough frost over the next 10 days as well too, that we're going to be going right into mid-November without any real hard frost that's going to really do any significant damage to any of our plants or anything too. So I'm trying to keep all of those tomatoes. I'm pulling off the ripe ones, the ones that are ripening, and leaving all of those green ones on until I look and see that we're possibly going to have a damaging frost. And then at that point in time, I'll take them all off of the plant, and then we'll bring them inside, and we'll ripen them up as well too. So again, looking forward to getting things cleaned up and straightened out and covered up with all of our leaves and everything. It's just that time of year. I do got some greens and some things growing in the back that will be growing throughout the winter. But lots of it is just pretty much winding down for us here. And again, bittersweet time when it comes to the gardening season. It's been a great growing year for the most part. Most everything that I've grown really produced really well. Didn't really have too many troubles with anything growing this year. So again, we're going to be harvesting those things up, cleaning up the garden spaces and everything. So again, it's kind of one of those, oh man, the end of the season, we're tucking it all in with all those leaves. But at the same time, I also get to look forward to and think about all of the great things that we get to look, and grow and get started and do this next growing season as well too. So again, sort of like for me as and a lot of the regular viewers here on the show know, I'm a huge baseball fan, and for me, I follow probably one of the my team's never made it to the World Series. I'll just put it that. It never made it to a championship game. I think we're the only team in baseball that's never done that. And so for me, the end of the baseball season is definitely a bittersweet time for me as well. Like just like the gardening season, and just like just like gardening in baseball, that I think they correlate really well to the fact that if it's not such a great season, we've always got next year. So again, too, I'm looking forward to next year's season. Maybe that'll be the year for us. I don't know. But again, we didn't have that bad of a gardening season this year. It actually went really well. A lot of things were really successful, and a lot of things I wasn't really even thinking about. Even dealing with, and I've mentioned this before in previous shows, I went back to growing squash. I took last year off of growing squash as kind of a strategy to see if I couldn't, kind of break up the life cycle of these squash bugs that just really ravage my squash plants and everything. And even with that this year, even having to deal with that, we still ended up with a lot of great squash that came out of the garden. Our pumpkins still did really well. I mean, that was probably the one plant that really took the biggest brunt of our squash bugs, because just the way the plant spreads, it's hard to kind of get inside of it, because these squash bugs will basically just work their way from the very center of the plant, because that's where they get started. Early on, the plant starts growing up out of the ground, and the just the very first part where it goes into the ground is where, and those first leaves are where these squash bugs that start emerging, start coming up, laying their eggs on those. And so they kind of work from the center of the plant out. And usually, and in this case too, especially for a pumpkin plant, they can kind of outgrow that pressure from the center of the plant. So that's kind of what I observed really well this year, because again, where we plant them and where I grow the pumpkin, it's kind of hard to kind of get up in there and really kind of examine and take care of them. So they find their way and they keep going. I do my best to squish them, or if I find the eggs, or pull them off, or get rid of the adults if I can find them. So I do my best at that, but they can really start to gain momentum throughout the growing season. And you can definitely see it in the pumpkin plants as the center starts to get worn down, the leaves die off, and all of that in the center as it works its way out. But the pumpkin plant will continue to grow out, and those vines on the ground will start to put roots in on those, longer, more extended vines that kind of reach out, from the center. And as they put roots in, that just, kind of, whatever happens behind those roots, and all the damage and everything, they're able to kind of keep, that pressure at bay towards the front of the plant. And then, we got our fruits, towards the more front of the plant and everything as well. And at that point, we can see that, that the pumpkins were doing just fine. Ultimately, we ended up with a nice big one. I grew big Max pumpkins, some seeds that I got from last year's National Heirloom Exposition. And again, they grew really well and still did okay, even with all of that pest pressure. So again, just another one of those things that we got to deal with in the garden. There's always some sort of surprises or things that end up getting our garden, especially when it comes to pests, So, but again, in the other squash too, again, more easier to get to those bugs when they are hitting the plant and moving across the plant and everything as well too. When it comes to the squash, especially the zucchini squash, I had a couple of them I was growing in these large pots across the alleyway. One of them was actually really resistant to those squash bugs. I was really surprised because they were really growing right next to each other. One of them was really getting invaded by them, and the other one didn't really seem to get touched by them hardly at all. So again, I'm going to be trying to grow more of that variety next year, as it seems to be pretty resistant to those bugs. But the other one got really hit pretty bad as well. And again, try to do our best to keep them at bay, squish the eggs, get the adults off there as soon as you can, wash them off, all of that sort of stuff, and make sure that we're trying to keep them from doing too much damage. But ultimately, they still produced really well. And as anybody knows, zucchini, squash, they produce like crazy. I mean, you really only need one of those plants in your garden to produce enough for you and all of your neighbors combined. So yeah, definitely. So yeah, lots growing on. We got to, again, like I said, get things cleaned up and doing all of that garden work here in the garden space as well too. So right on. Let's see here. Make sure we're keeping up with everybody. See if anybody's in here. Well, let's see. Jay puts up here too. The best method for control is prevention through sanitation. Remove old cucurbit plants after harvest. Keep the garden free from rubbish and debris that can provide overwintering sites for squash. Yeah, and again, this was, and really, see here, actually, it says here too, at the end of the gardening season, compost all vegetation or thoroughly till it under, hand pick or vacuum any bugs found underneath the wooden boards during the growing season, pick off and destroy. Exactly. And really as all recommendations are for pests, is that we want to try to break the life cycle of these bugs and pests the best that we can. And this was kind of part of my philosophy with the idea, well, what I'll do is I'll skip a season of growing any sort of squash, pumpkins, or anything in the garden, and see if I can't just kind of hold them, maybe break that life cycle, maybe, and I didn't see any squash bugs on any of my other plants either too. And that was something I would try to make sure I kept a really good eye on anything else that could possibly be infected or anything. And so I don't know if they just found their way somehow to keep themselves alive some way that I wasn't able to notice through the growing season last year or not. Or what most likely could possibly happen too is that, I'm right here in the city. I've got lots and lots of neighbors. So there's, probably lots and lots of other gardens that are growing. So even though I skipped a season of growing my squash, I'm sure my neighbors and all of them didn't skip it at all. So maybe there was some of those bugs that were on their plants and survived over in their plants and still kept finding their way over into my garden space as well. Or they were able to just find a way to keep themselves alive in my space that I didn't notice. And so basically all I really did in that whole experiment of trying to see if that would break the life cycle of those squash bugs was all I did was skip a season of growing squash myself. So really, again, it's just one of those ones. And for me too, is I don't like using anything, whether it's a chemical prevention or even some organic type of, or what they call organic type of sprays and different things that could be used. I do use our and try using, and I sprayed a lot of that as well too, the IV organics, that we have and all of that. But they're very resistant to things. And I'm telling you that any method that I've used, the best one of, that I can really find to do is to get in there. And like I said, vacuum them off, as was suggested there too in Jay's comment there. Or and squish them and do the best I can, wash the plants down really well and do all of that. That's kind of one of the best ways I've found to kind of deal with them, because in the long run, I haven't been able to find a way that's actually going to keep them out of the garden. So it just seems to be a part of part of what I've got to do in the garden each season. So yeah, we'll have to just keep that method going, see how it goes. And again, to just work on it. It's, when we're gardening, we like to think that we could just, get some plants started, or put them into our garden, and then hopefully everything will work out. But gardening is a bit of work, and I enjoy the process of that work. When it comes down to growing all of these plants and all the things that we've got to do, but there's those things that we just really don't care for, and one of the big ones is garden pests. Garden pests are really tough to deal with in a lot of ways. But again, too, as I recommend, and as I've learned more and more as I've continued to grow and garden too, is making sure we've got good soil to make sure our plants are healthy, and the healthier plants will be more resistant to a lot of the pest pressures that we have. And then some pests are just pests, and they don't really care what you try to do. They're just going to be there, and you're going to have to kind of work with them in a way to try to keep them from doing too much damage to your plants and all of that. And the other thing too is weeding. You hear about this all the time, all the weeding we got to do when it comes to keeping our our gardens looking nice and growing well. But again, too, we can do some tactics of like mulching and things like that can help hold back and suppress weeds and everything as well too. But again, all part of the fun of gardening, all part of what we do to keep growing and all of that as well. So yeah, lots going on. Let's see here. And well, I'm not seeing our guest in yet so far, so I guess we'll just kind of keep the conversation rolling here, and then we'll see if she pops in here soon or not, and then we'll get going with that conversation. Again, another part of really fun part of doing live streams and live shows is making sure that we're all in and the times are right as well too. As we found with other guests, sometimes the time can get confused and all of that, and especially with like I said, we've got a time change coming up here, and that should be happening tonight. So we'll be looking at falling back here as well too. So again, like I was mentioning with what will with our show for tomorrow, just causing a bunch of confusion on how that's going to work, because again, I don't know, I mean, if Rick's still there in the conversation, maybe that he'll be able to tell me a little bit more too, because Australia being a whole nother country, they don't probably follow along with the time changes that we do here in the United States. So again, I was just hadn't really accounted for that as we had been planning for this live conversation tomorrow with Nate and Mark. And so this just a couple days ago, a day or so ago, I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh no, what does that mean? Because again, with this other situation I've got with my family, I've got an event coming up. We got to take a nice little long drive up to Portland in order to go do this. And because of that, and I had asked Mark to move back an hour already. And this was a few weeks ago. I was like, could we move it back an hour? Because we were planning it again in a different time slot than what we normally do for our Sunday edition. So I'd already asked him to go back an hour already so that I can make that work out a little bit better, try to, make it a little bit, give us just a little bit more room in order to make that happen there. And then, finding out that there was also daylight savings time for us, which would then throw it back another hour, so I was like, oh no. So I got a hold of Mark. I think he's going to be okay with getting up just a little bit earlier. He's an early riser, and again too, so hopefully that'll be all right. And again too, if it does work out better for both of our situations to do a postponement, which again, the way it looks now, probably won't happen. We'll probably just continue with our scheduled time for tomorrow. But again, like I said, we'll put up a notice on our community page for everybody to get an idea on if anything changes at all. So let's see. Oh, and let's see here. Australia, Sunday, October 6, 2024, 2 a.m. clocks were turned forward 1 hour. See, look at that. Forward for him, back for us, if I'm catching that right. So again, I'm not too sure. That's crazy. Let's see here. Oh, looks like we got Nancy in the conversation there too. Hi, Nancy. Great to see you. She's like, I can't chat, putting up the list of my tomatoes, but I can listen. So hi to all. Thank you for listening in on our show today, Nancy. Great to have you there. Awesome to see you there. All right. Let's see here. And let's see, ladies. English Ladies Kitchen Garden says our clocks went forward last weekend. Where are so yeah, tell me where you're at there too, because isn't that interesting then if that's the case, that in other areas other than the US, folks are going ahead an hour in the fall, and then here we're going back an hour. So that's, that's kind of interesting how that works out. And again, too, just with all the times and different time zones and everything can make things really, really confusing, especially for having someone from Australia on the show too. Is really interesting how our different time zones work and all of that too. So let's see here. Not too sure what we're gonna do here again. I'll just have to kind of move along here when it comes down to it. I'm not sure if we don't see our guest in here in just a little bit here, we'll probably just go ahead and move forward with the day today. So again, I'm not too sure. We'll see what happens here in just a few minutes. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about, here, let me know in the chat. And let's see here. Jay says, UK, back 1 hour at 2 a.m. on the last Sunday in October. Back 1 hour. Isn't that strange, though? That is so strange, that whole idea that they would. So it's, oh no, okay, they go back. All right, not forward. Is that right? Okay, all right then. So English Lady says here, Jay, you're right. It was indeed back 1 hour. Okay, so going back. So again, too, then, so Australia goes forward and we go back. So again, that's just really interesting. It's kind of how that works out in that way. But again, too, it's just kind of what we got to do, especially being, again, as we're seeing right now, without our guest in the studio so far. Just kind of another part of the fun that we have here in trying to do and put on a live show. So again, here, what we'll do here real quick here is I'm going to go ahead and move forward with our next break here. And then we'll see if our guest shows up in the studio. And like I said, we might end up just calling it an earlier day today. I hate to do that and all of that, but again, I got a busy weekend coming up. I hope everything works out well for our show tomorrow. So everybody just plan on everything being normal right now. And then we'll check in with and hopefully maybe hear from Mark here in just this afternoon and make sure everything is all set and all of that as well too. So let's see here. Yeah. Like Jay says, spring forward, fall back. Exactly. That's the way we know it. That's how I remember, utilizing that saying that we've always said, spring forward, fall back. But again, too, I find that so interesting that Australia would go ahead an hour. And I think that really explains why, because when I was originally scheduling for that show and thinking about the time that we would change to, I had kind of had in the mind that they were already at a certain time forward from us. And then when I went and looked at it and double checked the time, it was an hour ahead from what I thought it was supposed to be, because I had if everybody remembers, we just had Charlie McGee from Formidable Vegetable out of Australia on the show a few weeks back. And to schedule that interview with him, I remember that it was so many hours behind. I can't remember exactly, but so many hours ahead of us. And so that's kind of what I had in mind when I was thinking about the time change, or the time that we would do our live stream for tomorrow. And then Mark, and then well, when I double checked, I noticed it was an hour ahead of what I thought. And I was like, why is it an hour ahead? And I must have checked that just after they had already moved forward with their time there too. So that's just really interesting. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Jersey Girl says, that's how I remember it too. Exactly. It's so easy to remember spring, forward, and then fall back. You know what I mean? It's just so easy to remember that way. But I wonder how they remember or figure it out in Australia if they do things a bit opposite of what we do. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and take our second break here, and we'll see if our guest joins with us in the studio here. And if not, like I said, we'll probably just wind things down for the day. So hopefully we'll have our guest, hopefully we'll have our conversation, but we'll see here in just a little bit. Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
The answer to this week's trivia question is C. Many cool weather crops, including carrots, are known for having a sweeter flavor after a frost. Why is this? It's because starches in the plants are converted to sugars, helping to defend the plant against the cold weather. Thanks for watching. Head on over to Sarah's Seed Shop, where you can find garden seeds at unbeatable prices. Enjoy the rest of the show and have a great day.
So, all right. Did you get Sarah's trivia question right? Right on. Nice and easy one for us this week. Yeah, carrots and lots of other things too, because of frost and all of that, or the cooling of the seas and everything. Those cooler temperatures ignite some sugars within them and make them sweeter. I know there's several other things besides carrots as well too. But yeah, definitely go and check out Sarah's Seed Shop at sarahseedshop.com. You're not going to find any better prices on some of your most essential garden seeds that she offers in her seed shop. I mean, nobody beats them. Not even MI Gardener, not even Baker Creek or any of those other great seed companies that we really like. Sarah has got the market cornered when it comes to not only price, but value too, because you won't believe how many seeds you actually get with those seeds and everything too. Is she has basically carried on our good or one of my favorite gardeners from way back in the day. He's retired now, Ray Browning from Praxis 55712 channel that I used to follow back in my early days of YouTube and gardening and everything. And he started his little shop of seeds to do that same thing, to do that and offer a really great value and a great price for seeds and all of that. And when he retired, he passed on that business to Sarah, and Sarah's just continued with that same philosophy of offering just these amazing prices and amazing value for these garden garden seeds. So definitely do that, especially as we're winding down our season and thinking forward towards what our growing season will be in 2025. You'll want to go and check out Sarah's Seed Shop and get some of those seeds from her and help support Sarah, help support our channel and what she does here for our show and everything. It's just really awesome. She takes the time to put up those trivia questions for us each and every week and all of that. We really enjoy that. So again, too, we like to support our fellow contributors and guests and all of that as well too. So definitely go check out sarahseedshop.com and get some seeds from her. And right on, everybody. So I don't see our guest today. I'm just going to go ahead and, unfortunately, I know I love hanging out here and we usually have another hour of the show and all of that. But again, I got a lot of things going on today. We got to get prepared for our show tomorrow, all of that sort of stuff. So at that point, I think what we'll do is just start to wind things down for today, unfortunately. And so really appreciate everybody joining with us here today. And if you can, remember to come and join with us tomorrow. It'll be at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Garden Roundtable with Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me and Nate Murray from Garden Like a Viking. Looking forward to seeing these guys here on the show. We'll have a really great conversation with them. And also to, like I said, go back and check out our show from last week and hear our conversation with Mike Van Doozy from Keep On Growing Home and Garden, and get to meet Mariana Lira from Mary's Garden and Kitchen. Really great conversation there too, as well as our Sunday edition. We had Kang Starr and Christopher Bransdahl, our good friends of the channel here, joining us for what was a really fun conversation on my birthday last week. So that was really fun. So again, to go check those out if you got some time too. Plus, next week, too, looking forward to next Saturday's show. Next Saturday, we will have on the show Marcus Bridgewater from Garden Marcus. I've been looking forward to this. We've been looking away at finding a good scheduled date for him for a little while, and we finally got him coming on the show this next Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that, as well as for our third Sunday of the month too in our book club. We'll go ahead and let everybody know we are featuring Mitch McCulloch's The Seed Hunter. So you don't want to miss out on that. It's going to really going to be a great conversation with Mitch about his book, The Seed Hunter, on our third Sunday gardening book club. And just unlike any other book club, we get to actually have the authors with us here to have a great conversation all about their books. So yeah, really great. And gonna look forward to all of that coming up here. Many more guests as well too. We'll try to find a way to get Jennifer back onto the show here real soon as well. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining with me here today. And again, sorry to cut it a little bit short today, but it's really great to see you. We'll definitely see all of you tomorrow for that great conversation. And if you are here with us right now, before we leave, hit that like button, get the thumbs up, click the subscribe, hit the bell notification, as well as share with all of your garden friends, and follow the links down in the description for all of our other content and all of that as well too. Come, or like I also say at the end of most shows too, come and join with us at with the garden community at the Let's Get Growing group. I'd love to see all of you there. Come share some pictures of your garden, and ask some questions if you want to as well. I'd love to see all of you there. And again, too, I'll mention it one more time, for if you do want to get some of those cherry tomato seeds, go ahead and send me an email at letsgetgrowing@mail.com, and I will give you some instructions on how to get some of those seeds for yourself to grow in your garden. They're really delicious. They're really great. And again, thank you so much, everybody. Let's see. Nancy says, thanks so much, Edith. Happy late birthday, and love that baby granddaughter for me. Yes. That's again too. That's probably what I'm going to do too, is probably get over there and go see her here real soon. In fact, what I'll do is I'll pop this up so everybody can see here. As you might notice, I did change my my picture. I switched George, the picture of George we usually have back there, with this picture of my granddaughter. There she is, little Princess Layla. She's so beautiful. Just love it. So while we're just having a general conversation day today, so I'll show you all this picture one more time. Just love it. Love her, love her, love her. She's just so great and so awesome. Again, too, thank you all so much for joining me here today. Just really great to have you all here. And again, too, be sure to be here again tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our fun conversation with Nate and Mark. It'll be really great to see all of you there. So right on, everyone. Thanks again for joining with us today, and I'll see all of you tomorrow.